Baby, before I begin, let me steady my hands. They still tremble whenever I remember that night. The night everything in my life snapped like an old wooden chair leg. And if you think you know what betrayal feels like, wait till you hear what my own blood did to me. Let me take you straight to the moment it all began. It was 11:43 p.m. Rain hammered against my windows like someone begging to get in. My house was dim, lit only by a flickering candle because the storm had knocked the lights out. I was sitting alone, wrapped in my shawl, listening to the wind howl through the cracked floorboards, when suddenly my phone buzzed. A message. Not from my son. Not from any family. But from a distant neighbor. It said, "Congratulations. Your son's wedding looked beautiful." My heart stopped as if someone had clutched it in their fist. Wedding? What wedding? I blinked hard, thinking maybe my old eyes had misread the words. But no. It said it again, in a thread of messages I had never seen because they came earlier that evening. They left an hour ago. The ceremony was small but lovely. Your daughter-in-law is gorgeous. My candle wavered, and for a moment, I could swear the shadows on the wall leaned forward, listening. My son married? Without me? Without even telling me? A cold shiver curled through my spine. I stood up, my knees shaking, and hobbled toward the window. The storm flashed, lighting up the street, and for a split second I saw 3 people standing near my gate. A tall man, a woman, and a child. But when the lightning faded, they were gone. I whispered, "Why would he hide this from me?" That question haunted the room like a whisper behind my ear. You see, baby, I raised that boy alone. I stitched his clothes, worked double shifts, sold my jewelry to pay his college fees. I was there for every fear, every heartbreak, every scraped knee. And now he had taken the biggest step of his life and erased me from the picture. But it was the next message that carved a wound deep inside my chest. His wife said only special people were invited. Special people. As if I were nothing. My candle sputtered, and I swear for a moment, I saw a shadow move across the hallway. But I brushed it off. My mind was already drowning in a storm worse than the one outside. I called my son. Once. Twice. 5 times. No answer. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Why are you doing this to me, baby?" And then the last message came. Not from him. From an unknown number. A woman's voice note. Soft. Whispery. Almost too calm. Her voice said, "Please don't try to reach him again. He's safe with us. You don't need to be involved anymore." I froze. Safe with us? Who was us? Why was she talking like my son belonged to her? My chest tightened. My breathing became shallow. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. The storm outside growled louder, like it was reacting to her words. I replayed the voice note. Once. Twice. 3 times. Every time her tone sounded stranger. Like she was talking from a very small room, or a basement. I whispered into the silence. "Who are you? What have you done to my son?" Just then, a sudden creak echoed from my hallway. I turned sharply. The candlelight stretched my shadow tall across the wall. But there was another shadow behind mine. Smaller. Thinner. Not moving like a person but swaying like it was breathing. My mouth went dry. I forced myself to take one single step forward. "Hello?" My voice cracked. Another step. The floor moaned loudly, as if warning me to stop. Then, from inside the darkness, something fell. A small envelope. I knelt slowly, my bones stiff, and picked it up. The paper was damp, as if someone had been holding it with wet hands. My name was written on the front. In my son's handwriting. But the ink was smudged, as if someone else had touched it after him. My heart hammered as I tore it open. Inside was a photograph. My son. Smiling. Wearing a suit. Standing next to a woman I had never seen. Her smile was wide, too wide. Her hand was on his chest possessively. And behind them, barely visible, was a door with heavy metal locks. Locks on a wedding photo? What kind of place was this? The back of the photo had one sentence written shakily. "Mom, if you see this, please forgive me. I didn't want you to know yet." Yet. My throat tightened. What was he hiding? What kind of woman says only special people were invited? What kind of son writes, "I didn't want you to know yet"? Baby, tell me something. If someone you love hides their wedding from you, What's the first thought that hits your mind? Comment and tell me. I want to hear your heart. And sweetheart, if you're still with me, if this story has pulled you even a little closer, then please like, share, and subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you next, nobody in my family would dare repeat. Because that night, as I stared at that picture, my candle suddenly blew out on its own, and in the darkness, I heard footsteps walking toward me. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I wasn't alone, and I knew whatever secret my son was hiding was already inside my house. Baby, when those footsteps started moving toward me in the dark, I swear my soul tried to leave my body. My hand groped blindly across the table until my fingers found the cold surface of my phone. I flicked it on, and the weak glow lit up only a slice of the hallway, but enough to show me something horrifying. The front door was slightly open, and rainwater had trickled inside, forming a thin trail across my floorboards, as if someone had walked in moments before I noticed. I whispered, "Who's there?" But only the storm answered. My knees wobbled as I limped toward the door, each step making the old wooden boards groan under my weight. I pushed the door shut, locked it, and placed my hand against it, feeling the wind battering from outside. My heart was thumping so violently that I could feel the pulse in my ears. Why would my son's wedding be followed by shadows, a voice note, a photo left in my hallway, and footsteps inside my home? Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. I took the photo again and brought it near my phone's light. That locked door behind them, it bothered me. Weddings are open, bright, joyful. Not held in rooms that look like they were meant to keep someone inside. My phone buzzed again. A new message. From the same unknown number. My hands trembled as I tapped it open. Stop searching for him. No greeting. No name. No explanation. Just a command. I typed back with shaking fingers. "Where is my son?" The reply came instantly, as if the person was waiting. "He is where he belongs." My breath caught. Belongs? Where does a grown man belong? Except with the mother who raised him. I pressed call on the number, ignoring the fear twisting in my chest. The phone rang once, twice, and then connected. Silence. But not empty silence. The kind where you can hear someone breathing on the other end. "Hello," I whispered. No answer. Only soft, steady breaths. I tried again. "Please. I'm his mother." A faint, whispery voice finally spoke. "And that is exactly why you can't be part of this." I shivered. The voice was too calm, almost gentle, but there was something underneath it. Something cold. "Who are you?" I asked. A slow exhale. Then she whispered, "Someone who will protect him from the life he used to have." The life he used to have? My voice cracked. What life? But she hung up. I stared at the phone screen, my heart racing. Protect him from me? From his own mother? I stumbled back into the living room. The house pitch black except for the glow of my phone. My candle had died, leaving the room feeling colder, emptier. Or maybe it wasn't empty at all. As I turned to sit, the floor behind me gave a soft creak. Not from my weight. From someone else's. My breath hitched. I slowly raised my phone, its little light scanning the room. It showed the wall, the photos, the old clock, everything still. I whispered, "If someone's here, please just speak." Nothing. Then a gust of wind blew the curtains apart, and behind them, pressed against the window from the outside, was a wet handprint. My heart lurched. Someone had been standing there, watching me. Or maybe they still were. I grabbed my shawl tighter around me and rushed to close the curtains. As I did, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time a picture. My blood ran cold. It was my house. Taken from outside. Taken just minutes ago. And there, between the curtains, was a blurry silhouette standing inside. My silhouette. Someone was watching me right now. I nearly fainted. I typed quickly, "What do you want from me?" The reply came, "Obedience." My heart slammed into my ribs. Obedience? What was this, some kind of cult? Some isolation group? Was my son trapped? I needed answers. And there was only one person who could give them. My son's best friend, Michael. I sat down, breathing hard, and dialed him. He picked up on the second ring, sounding groggy. "Mrs. Hale? Everything okay?" "No," I whispered. "Tell me the truth." Do you know where my son is? Silence too long. Then he sighed shakily. I didn't want to get involved. My lips parted. Involved in what, Michael? Mrs. Hale. He told me not to say anything. Michael. My voice was trembling. He got married tonight. A small gasp on the other end. You know. Everyone knows except me. My throat tightened. Tell me about the girl. Who is she? Michael hesitated, then murmured. She's strange. Strange how? He whispered so low I had to lean closer to hear. Your son met her at a retreat. A very controlling place. People don't leave easily. Ice crawled through my veins. What do you mean they don't leave? She isolates people. Makes them cut off family. She told him you were. He paused. Told him I was what? My voice cracked. Dangerous, he whispered. My heart shattered. My own boy thinking that I was a threat? Before I could speak, a loud thud echoed upstairs. I flinched so hard the phone slipped from my fingers. Michael was still on the line. Mrs. Hale? What was that? I grabbed the phone again, whispering. Someone is in my house. Call the police, he urged. But before I could answer, I heard it again. Thud, thud, thud. Not footsteps. As if someone was dragging something heavy across the floor. Right above my bedroom. My entire body froze. Michael's voice was frantic. Get out of the house. Now. But I couldn't move. Because right then, a slow, deliberate knock tapped on my bedroom door upstairs. Knock. 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 Baby, I need you to understand the terror of hearing a knock. Inside your own home. When you know you're alone. Or at least supposed to be. I whispered to myself. What did you bring into my life, my son? What darkness followed you home? I clutched my shawl tight, and took my first step toward the stairs. Whatever was up there, I had to face it, because if I didn't, it might reach me first. Baby, I wish you could have felt my heartbeat as I climbed those stairs. Each step sounded louder than the storm outside, louder than the wind beating against my windows. My house was old, but that night, every creak felt like a warning. Something was waiting for me upstairs, something that had no right to be there. I held my phone in front of me like a weak lantern, its little screen barely slicing through the darkness. Shadows stretched long across the walls, moving like slow-breathing things. When I reached the top step, the knocking stopped. Dead quiet. I stood perfectly still. My breath fogged the cold air. The hallway, usually safe and familiar, felt wrong. Like the house was holding its breath with me. Then I saw it. My bedroom door. Closed. But I always keep it open. Always. A chill crawled across my spine. The doorknob glistened faintly from the storm's humidity, as if someone had touched it only moments before. Lord help me. I whispered, feeling the tremble in my throat. I reached out and pressed my palm softly against the door. It felt warm. Something or someone had been inside. My breath quivered. I forced myself to turn the knob slowly. It clicked softly, and the door eased open, creaking through the darkness like it was protesting. I raised my phone's glow, and my heart dropped straight out of my chest. My room was destroyed. Drawers open. Clothes scattered. My pillows slashed open. Feathers floating in the air like snow. And on top of my dresser, my jewelry box. Open. Empty. But that wasn't the worst part. On my bed lay a single neatly folded piece of paper, placed there intentionally, waiting for me. I stepped closer, each breath shallow and shaky. My fingers hovered before I dared to pick it up. It wasn't just a random paper. It was a printed wedding invitation. For my son's ceremony. But not like any I'd ever seen. The paper was thick, old-fashioned, almost antique-looking. Gold edges. Elegant writing. But the details. Location. Sanctum house. Private quarters. Guests. Selected. Approved. Restricted. Bride Evelyn Mara. Evelyn. That name echoed like a distant memory, but I didn't know her. Not truly. But then my eyes dropped to the bottom corner, and baby, my knees almost gave out. Signed in dark ink were the words. Family access denied. 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 I sank onto the edge of the bed, the paper trembling in my hands. A wedding invitation purposely sent to everyone except me. Who plans a wedding like that? Who marries a man and cuts his mother out like she's a danger? My phone buzzed, jerking me back to reality. Another message from the unknown number. This one wasn't typed. It was a voice note. I hesitated, my thumb hovering. But I had no choice, I needed answers. I pressed play. The woman's whisper poured into my ear. I told you not to interfere. You don't understand what he's part of now. My throat tightened. Part of what? I whispered as if she could hear me. The voice continued. Your son is chosen. You are not. Chosen? What kind of madness was this? I replayed the message, listening to the eerie softness in her voice. Too calm. Too controlled. No woman with good intentions ever sounded like that. Then my bedroom closet door rattled. I froze. No wind. No draft. No reason for it to move. Unless someone was inside. My chest tightened so painfully I had to press my hand against it. I took one small step toward the door. Is someone there? My voice barely held together. The silence stretched too long. Too heavy. I reached out, my fingertips brushing the cold wood, and pulled the door open with a quick jerk. Nothing. Just darkness. Dust. Clothes. But something did fall out. A thin leather-bound notebook. Old. Edges cracked. I knelt to pick it up, feeling the weight of it. It wasn't mine. I'd never seen it before. A stranger's diary in my closet? I swallowed, slowly opening the first page. The handwriting was rushed, frantic. If you find this, you must leave. Sanctum House is not a retreat, it's a trap. Evelyn is not who she claims to be. She watches. She decides. She owns. No one leaves once they're chosen. My blood froze. A retreat. A trap. A woman who owns people. My son, what had he stepped into? I flipped to the next page, heart racing. More frantic words. I tried to warn him. She won't let him go. There's something wrong with that house. The rooms are locked for a reason. The rituals. The way she speaks. The control. I heard them. I heard what they did in the basement. My mouth went dry. Basement? Rituals? The candle downstairs flickered suddenly, casting a flash of light up the staircase. I nearly screamed. Everything felt alive, moving. Watching. I flipped to the last written page. If she finds this notebook, I'm gone. But if you found it, you're next. I slammed the diary shut, my breath shaking violently. Gone. What did gone mean? Missing? Dead? Before I could think further. Bang. A loud slam echoed downstairs. Someone had entered my house. Not footsteps. Not whispers. A door opening. I backed away from my bedroom door, gripping the diary like a weapon, though it was nothing but paper and leather. Another sound. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Uneven. Moving toward the staircase. My heart pounded so hard I thought the floor could hear it. I pressed myself against the wall, my breath silent. A shadow spread across the hallway floor. Long, distorted. Climbing the staircase step by step. Someone was coming up. To my floor. To me. I clutched my shawl tightly around my shoulders. Then the shadow paused. Right at the top step. Baby. You've never seen your whole life flash before your eyes until a stranger stands 10 feet away from you in the dark. Inside your own house. In the middle of a storm. After you've found warnings in a stranger's diary. The shadow moved again. Closer. And a whisper, low, shaky, and definitely male, cut through the darkness. Mom, don't scream. Baby, when I heard that whisper. Mom, don't scream. My whole body locked up. The voice was familiar, yes, but it was also wrong. Like someone had taken my son's voice and removed all the warmth from it. My breath shook as I whispered back into the dark hallway. Daniel. He stepped forward slowly. The dim glow from my phone lit his face just enough for me to make out his features. And my heart cracked. Because that wasn't the face of the little boy I raised. That wasn't the man who once hugged me with both arms and said he'd never leave me. No. His eyes looked empty. Dark, sunken with this strange gloss. As if he hadn't slept, eaten, or spoken freely for days. His hair was wet from the storm. His clothes black, too formal, too stiff, stuck to his skin. And around his wrist, a mark. A bruise. Circular. Like someone had gripped him too hard. Baby, I whispered, stepping closer despite my fear. Why didn't you tell me you were getting married? He blinked slowly like his mind was trying to catch up. I didn't want to put you in danger, he said quietly. Danger? I grabbed his hand, feeling how cold it was. What danger can come from your own mother? He glanced over his shoulder down the stairs, like he expected someone to appear any second. You shouldn't have been here tonight, he murmured. Evelyn knows. That name again. Evelyn. The girl he married. The voice on the phone. The one who left that invitation. The one watching my house. I swallowed hard. Knows what? That I came alone. His voice cracked. She told me not to. His hands were shaking. My boy. Shaking like a child who'd been scolded by something far bigger than him. I cupped his cheek gently. Baby, look at me. You're not safe with her, are you? His breath hitched. Mom, please. Don't make me choose. My heart tore into pieces. No mother should ever hear that. Daniel, I whispered. Just tell me what she's doing to you. But he flinched, actually flinched, at the sound of her name as if someone had snapped a whip. She has rules, he murmured. And if I break them, she punishes. My nails dug into my palm. Punishes? How? What does she do? He looked at me with eyes full of fear. And guilt. And something darker. She takes people to the basement, he whispered. My stomach twisted violently. The diary. The warnings. The locks. The voice note that sounded like someone was trapped in a small room. What happens in the basement? I asked. He shook his head quickly. No. I can't. She hears everything. Hears everything how? I pressed. Mom. His lower lip trembled. She has people watching. A soft sound echoed from downstairs. A floorboard creaking. Someone moving. Daniel flinched again, pressing his back against the wall like a terrified animal. She followed me, he whispered urgently. She's here. My blood froze. Here. Inside my house? I grabbed his arm. Then we need to leave. Right now. Daniel, come. But he pulled away sharply, whispering. I can't. She'll take it out on you. My heart hammered. Baby, she's already trying to. His eyes filled with tears, just a thin shimmer, as if he no longer had the strength to cry like he used to. I didn't want you involved, he whispered. I told her you were sick, frail, helpless, so she'd leave you alone. I felt stabbed. Helpless? Is that how he kept me out of his life? But I swallowed my pain. This wasn't about my pride. This was survival. Daniel, listen to me, I said, gripping his hands tightly. You're my son. I will never leave you with someone who scares you. He whispered. You don't understand, she's not alone. She has a whole group. They believe she's chosen. That word again. Chosen. But you don't believe that, I said. He hesitated. And that hesitation hurt more than anything said to me that night. Before I could speak again, a soft hum floated up the stairs. A woman's voice. Singing. Slow. Sweet. Like a lullaby. Daniel's entire body went rigid. Oh God, he whispered. She's here. My skin crawled. The voice grew closer, drifting through the house like smoke. Daniel, I whispered urgently. What does she do when she finds people talking without her? He swallowed painfully. She calls it correction. A shadow moved at the bottom of the staircase. I grabbed Daniel's wrist. We have to hide. But he stepped back, shaking his head. No. If she sees us together, she'll. The singing stopped. Silence. Thick. Deadly. Then a new sound. A slow, delicate tap on the wall. Knuckles. Soft. Measured. Tap. 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 Moving toward the staircase. Moving toward us. Daniel's breath came shaky and fast. Mom, whatever happens, don't let her touch you. Touch me? What happens if she touches me? I whispered. He closed his eyes. She marks you. Before I could ask what that meant, a woman's silhouette appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Slim. Tall. Hair long and dark, dripping rainwater. A white gown clinging to her like a second skin. She lifted her head slowly, and I saw her eyes. Cold. Sharp. Smiling without smiling. The same voice that whispered in the voice notes. The same woman who married my son tonight. Evelyn. She stepped onto the first stair. Then the next. Her wet footprints darkened the wood. Daniel, she murmured sweetly. You left before the vow was complete. My blood ran cold. Vow. Complete? What kind of wedding had rituals that don't complete? Daniel's voice quivered. Evelyn, please. Leave my mother alone. Her smile widened a fraction, too controlled, too unnatural. Oh, sweetheart, she cooed softly. Your mother came looking for what doesn't belong to her anymore. My breath hitched. He will always belong to me, I whispered. She tilted her head. Not tonight, she said. Then she lifted her hand, and I saw the long black mark across her palm. The same mark on my son's wrist. My stomach churned. What is that? Her smile deepened. A promise. Then she stepped up another stair. Closer. 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 My son grabbed my arm. Run, he whispered. But it was too late. Because Evelyn looked me directly in the eyes and whispered, It's time you learned what your son really agreed to. Baby, come closer. 'Cause this part still shakes my old bones. That night, the house felt too still, like even the walls were holding their breath. I was sitting by the window knitting quietly when I heard it. Soft, slow, and whispered like someone was standing right behind me. Margaret. My name. Clear as day. But no one was there. My hands froze. The yarn slipped from my fingers. And for a moment I thought maybe age was finally playing cruel tricks on me. But then I heard it again, this time from the hallway. Marguerite. Drawn out. Cold. Like someone calling me from the dark. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. I stood up, every step feeling heavier than the last, and walked toward that hallway. The air grew colder with each inch I moved. My breath turned shaky. My skin prickled. When I reached the hallway, all the lights flickered. The shadows shifted on their own like they were dancing, almost waiting. And then I saw it. A small figure standing at the end of the hallway. Not moving. Not breathing. Just watching. I whispered, Who's there? But the moment my voice echoed, the figure suddenly ran straight toward me. Fast. Too fast. I stumbled backward, clutching my chest, but right before it reached me, it vanished. Gone. Like it was never there at all. I grabbed the wall, trying to steady my heart, trying to breathe like a human again. And that's when I realized, baby, what I saw that night. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't my imagination. It was a sign. A warning. Something in that house wanted my attention. And now, it had it. Baby, sit with me for this one. As chapter 6 is the night I truly understood that something inside that house was watching me. After that figure ran toward me and disappeared, my heart didn't slow for hours. I sat in the living room with every light turned on, like a frightened child hiding from the dark. And you must understand something, sweetheart. At my age, fear feels different. It sinks into the bones. It sits in the chest like a heavy stone. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, that my tired old mind was making shadows out of nothing. But deep down, a voice whispered that I was lying to myself. I tried to sleep that night. Lord knows I tried. I went to my bedroom, locked the door, and left the hallway light on. The soft glow slipped under the crack of my door, just enough for me to see the shape of the room. I lay down, closed my eyes, and whispered a small prayer. My mother used to say prayers could calm the frightened heart. But mine kept beating like a drum in a storm. For a while nothing happened. Just silence. That heavy, suffocating kind of silence. I was starting to drift off when I heard it. A soft tap. Then another. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the hallway. I froze under my blanket. Maybe it was the house settling. Maybe the wind. But then the tapping turned into footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Uneven. Like someone was walking barefoot. Their skin brushing against the wooden floor. My throat tightened. My eyes brimmed with tears. I didn't want to fall. Those footsteps stopped right outside my bedroom door. I didn't breathe. I didn't even blink. Could feel it. That presence. That weight. Standing inches away from me on the other side of that thin wooden door. And then, the doorknob turned. Baby, you ever feel your heart drop so fast you think you might faint? That's what happened to me. The knob twisted once. Then again. Not violently. Not rushed. Slow, like whoever it was had all the time in the world. I whispered, Please, please no. My voice shaking like a leaf. I knew the door was locked, but that didn't comfort me, because the knob kept turning. Suddenly, something pressed against the door. A soft thud, like a hand, or a head, leaning against it. And right then, I heard breathing, slow, chiggy, raspy breathing, on the other side of my door, breathing like it was smelling the air between us. I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. My whole body trembled. My legs felt cold, like all the warmth had been drained out of them. Then the breathing stopped. Silence again. A silence worse than any sound. And that's when I saw it. A shadow beneath the door. Baby. It wasn't human. The shape was too small, too twisted, too unnatural. It crawled, not walked. I could see its fingers, long and thin, stretching across the floor under the crack of the door like they were reaching for me. I backed up against the headboard, shaking like a child. Tears spilled down my cheeks without me even noticing. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Please, God protect me." And suddenly, the shadow froze, then slowly pulled back, retreating into the hallway. I stayed there sitting upright, blanket wrapped around me, listening. And after a few seconds I heard it again. Footsteps. But this time, they were running. Fast. Desperate. Like something was fleeing down the hall. Then, a loud crash echoed from the far end of the house. I jumped. My heart felt like it would burst. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat awake, clutching my blanket, staring at the door, waiting, praying that nothing else would happen. When morning finally came, the sunlight didn't feel comforting. It felt weak, like whatever visited me during the night still lingered in the shadows of the house. I finally gathered the courage to open my bedroom door. My hand trembled as I unlocked it. The hallway was quiet, but the air felt wrong. Heavy, thick, like something had been breathing there all night. And then I noticed something on the floor. Small scratch marks. Thin, jagged, as if tiny fingers had dragged across the wood. They started right outside my bedroom door and trailed down the hallway toward the living room. I followed the scratches, each step making my heart pound harder. They stopped at the rug near the old storage room, a room I hadn't opened in years, a room I avoided. My breathing hitched. My knees felt weak, because the rug, that thick, heavy rug, had been pushed aside, and the storage room door was slightly open. I stared at it, wide-eyed, goosebumps rising along my arms. My voice cracked as I whispered to myself, something was in there. Baby. I can't explain the chill that rushed through me. It wasn't just fear. It was recognition. Because that storage room, it held the things I'd locked away after your grandfather died. Old photos. Old letters. Old secrets. Secrets I thought I had buried forever. I stepped closer, my hand trembling as I reached for the door. I pushed it open just a little more, letting a sliver of light slip inside. The room smelled different. Dusty, yes, but underneath that, a scent I hadn't smelled in decades. Your grandfather's cologne. My breath shook. My eyes filled instantly. How could that be? That bottle had been empty since the day he passed. I stepped inside, 1 foot at a time, my heart twisting with grief and fear. I looked around. Everything was untouched, covered in old sheets and dust. But then I saw it. Something new. Something that didn't belong there. A small handprint. Right in the middle of the dusty floor. Deep, clear, fresh. Not a child's handprint. Not an adult's. Something in between. I covered my mouth as tears spilled down. My entire body trembled. Because whatever left that handprint was the same thing calling my name. The same thing standing in my hallway. The same thing trying to enter my bedroom. And baby, I knew then. This wasn't random. This wasn't my imagination. This thing knew me. And it wanted something. Something I wasn't ready to face. Not yet. Baby, come closer. Does this chapter. This is the one that still makes my hands shake even now, all these years later. If you've stayed with me this far, then you deserve to know the truth. The truth that nearly destroyed me. And the truth that saved me, too. I stood in that storage room staring at the strange handprint on the dusty floor, and my whole body felt hollow, like my soul had stepped back and left my bones standing there alone. I remember whispering your grandfather's name, not because I believed he was there, but because I needed strength. And he was the only person who ever made me feel safe in the dark. The air in that room was cold. Not natural cold. A heavy breath on your neck kind of cold. It felt like someone was standing behind me, even though I knew no one was. I knelt down and touched the handprint. Baby. The dust was still warm. Warm. As if a living hand had pressed there moments before I arrived. My breath left my body in a shudder. I stood up, backing toward the door, wanting to leave, to slam it shut forever. But something inside me whispered, "Look under the chest." It wasn't a voice in the room. It was a voice in my mind, but it felt implanted like it didn't belong to me. Against every instinct, I reached for the old wooden chest sitting in the corner. Your grandfather built that chest with his own hands. He carved lilac flowers into the sides because he knew they were my favorite. That chest held memories I'd avoided for decades. Memories that hurt too much to touch. But the whisper grew stronger. Under the chest, look. My hands trembled as I slid it forward. Dust swirled into the air, floating like small ghosts. And there, beneath the chest, was a loose floorboard. My heart stumbled inside my chest. I knew that board. I remembered the night it was put there. But I had never been the one to hide something under it. I got down on my knees, slipped my fingernails under the edges and pried it free. The wood lifted with a soft crack. And beneath it, wrapped in an old white cloth, was a journal. A small leather-bound journal, with your grandfather's initials burned into the cover. My breath hitched. For a moment, grief replaced fear. I held the journal against my chest, tears filling my eyes. Why is this here? I whispered. Your grandfather never told me about this journal. He never hid things from me. He wasn't that kind of man. I unwrapped the cloth with shaking fingers. And baby, the smell hit me. His cologne. The same scent I smelled the night before. I opened the journal slowly. The first page was blank. The second blank. That's when I saw it. My name. Written in his handwriting. But not like a love letter. Not like his usual soft, gentle writing. It was rushed. Tilted. Erratic. My love. If you are reading this, then something has found the house again. I swear my heart stopped. I pressed the book closer to my face, reading through tears that blurred the ink. I tried to keep it away. I tried to protect you. But it always returns. A chill crawled down my spine. Always returns? What was he talking about? I flipped the page. It followed my mother. Then it followed me. It will follow you if you stay. Do not let it speak to you. Do not let it enter your room. It wants what it lost. My lips trembled. My voice dropped to a whisper. It lost? What does it want? I kept reading. If the scratches appear, if the breathing starts, leave the house. Do not go into the hallway at night. My chest tightened, because that's exactly what had happened. I flipped another page. And then, my hands froze. There was a drawing. A small twisted hand. Long fingers. Bent. Crooked. The same shape I had seen under my bedroom door. I covered my mouth as a sob escaped. This thing. This presence. It didn't just appear now. It had history. With my husband. With his mother. And now, with me. The next lines in the journal were smudged, almost unreadable. Like he wrote them crying. Or in fear. It looks for the child it lost. The child that never lived. My blood turned to ice. A memory struck me like lightning. Years ago, before your father was born, I had a miscarriage. A baby I never got to meet. A pain so deep I buried it inside myself because your grandfather told me to let it rest in peace. But here, in this journal, he wrote, it believes that child belongs to it. It came from my mother first, then for me. Now it will come for you. I dropped the journal. Tears spilled freely down my cheeks. All those years, the figure I saw as a young bride, the shadows I felt but ignored, the nights your father said he heard whispers, it was all the same thing. And it was back. I picked up the journal again, desperate for answers. The last page had only one line, written in a shaky, terrified scrawl. If it crawls, if it calls your name, do not look at its face. I didn't understand what the warning meant, until the lights in the storage room went out. Just, click. Darkness swallowed everything. I froze. Not even my breath dared to leave my body. The air shifted. Cold. Heavy. Alive. And then, from behind me, I heard it. Soft at first. Barely there. A whisper. So close. It brushed against my ear. Mama. My blood turned to ice. That wasn't my husband's voice. That wasn't my son's voice. It was the voice of a child I never held, a child I lost before I ever saw its face. A sob broke inside me. Please, please don't. The whisper came again. Closer. Mama, come with me. The floor creaked behind me. Small footsteps. Dragging. Uneven. Just like the night outside my bedroom door. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I remembered the journal's warning. Do not look at its face. But baby, curiosity is a dangerous thing. Human nature pulls you toward the things you fear. And when the footsteps stopped right behind me, when I felt cold fingers touch the back of my arm, I turned. Slowly. Terrified. Shaking. And what I saw. No, baby. I can't describe it. Some things aren't meant to be spoken out loud. Some faces aren't meant to be remembered. I screamed. I stumbled out of the room. I slammed the door shut and ran like a woman half my age, out of that house. I didn't stop until the sun rose. And baby, I never went back. Not for my belongings. Not for the journal. Not even for the ring your grandfather gave me that I left on the dresser. Some houses aren't homes anymore. Some houses belong to the things that live in the walls, that crawl in the dark, that follow the women in our family. And now that I've told you everything, baby, if you hear scratching at night, if you hear footsteps that don't belong, if something whispers your name in the dark, promise me one thing. Don't open the door.